Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. The female psychopath, what are their qualities, what are their characteristics, and what can you expect from a relationship and perhaps recovery from a relationship with one of these types of people? Well, let's first look at the psychopath and what this really means in an individual. A psychopath female has no conscience. A female psychopath has no sense of conscience, which means right or wrong. So a conscience is what usually will stop the people from doing things that are immoral, illicit, dangerous, risky, harmful, destructive, and generally unsafe. So a psychopath, by virtue of that diagnosis or that distinguishing feature, they have no conscience. And you cannot teach them a conscience. You can't have a right or wrong sort of conversation with them because they do not possess that capacity within them. They do not have an ability to conduct themselves in an ethical manner. Any outward showing of morality or conscience, dealing with such, ethicalities is generally done on a superficial basis, which means it is just for show. They know how to play the role of being ethical, moral, pragmatic, nurturing. These are hats that they can put on. And it is not really genuinely the true woman inside. So what's very interesting is these women can have almost like a multiple personality where they can be one way in one area of their life, another way in another area of their life, and there's no really integration within the person. Now, it can be very exhausting to see these women as they generally have quite a bit of energy. A lot of energy, a lot of physical energy. I mean, they really do not sleep very much. They can be hypersexual, which means insatiable sexually. They can be extremely attractive, voluptuous, and use their body as a way to become alluring. That in general is a way for them to allure people, but they do it also with a mental sort of brainwashing talk as well, where they're able to kind of distort reality for their victim in terms of getting them so hyper aroused that this person can't think straight. They turn stories around, they play on people's insecurities so that they get to the point where they're not acting out of their true best interest and their true personality, or they're not acting out of really a true basis or true foundation of what they know to be right and wrong. They're the target, the male that they approach and try to focus in on as their target. They will get him to doubt his own reality, doubt their own sense of right or wrong, and exploit their insecurities. And generally that oftentimes they're going to use, just what I would call like the woman card, as a good guy, they'll call you sweet names. They won't really acknowledge you as a complete and full providing person that you are. They'll just have a very small kind of narrow focus and kind of really like sweet talk you but into oblivion. To the point where you're on cloud 59 and you can't come down. And most men aren't like the expert conversationalists at dealing with these type of women, so they continue to let it happen, and then they experience what's generally known as like a boundary violation, where they cross over certain lines. You might cross over certain lines for them on their behalf, and then basically you start to crumble within your own sense of integrity, and then you're basically losing what you stand for, and then your pile of self gets smaller and smaller and smaller, where then her pile of self gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And when that happens, the relationship is totally out of balance. You're left with your head spinning. You're trying to figure out which end is up. And you realize that this is a con woman. And, you had never, ever anticipated or expected this or had even seen this happening. And so when you expose these people, you have to realize that you're dealing with someone who can oftentimes make a living at exploiting men. I would say there's probably quite a bit of women who do this. They have multiple relationships going on. They might take money from all sorts of different guys, having them pay their bills, etc., going on one guy's insurance, a complete imbalance of relationship. And I would say it generally attacks the money aspect more than the male version. So if you've been exploited financially, if you've been harassed sexually and harassed legally, these are a lot of their tactics that they will use to portend or play out to be the weaker one because they're a woman. And oftentimes the lies are prone to believing them. I mean, they can tell just an incredible story and break down and cry and have an emotional upsurge that, is going to emotionalize the people who are listening to them to get them to more relate or be on their side. And these women know this. I mean, they're very skilled, they're very crafty, they're very maniacal sort of creatures. And if you're involved with them, like that video I did on the nature of the psychopath, where it's just like they're very sticky, they can really stick all over you, and they can just suck themselves onto you, where they're just trying to suck you dry for everything that you've got, and they have no remorse about it whatsoever. For example, myself, the belongings that I have, I want to earn. I don't get any pleasure from having other people's belongings. And I think it's very strange when people are like eyeing other people's things and like they want them for their own. Like, it just seems very strange. But that's what these people do. They want to take, whatever it is. And it can, you're very much with a psychopathic female if she's really taking a lot of stuff, even meaningless stuff, or lying about meaningless things. Like, they will lie even though they don't need to. It's like they lie as a way of life, and because they can get away with it. And they very much take pleasure and delight in seeing that they have pulled one over on people. So for some reason, the psychopathic female will engage in these behaviors, and they'll be just like laughing inside that they have been able to take the amount and quantity and quality from these sorts of people. And it's very hideous and it's very sad. So in exposing them, these are just some of the characteristics and qualities of them, so you know a little bit about what you're dealing with. You can look at my other videos on psychopaths here on this channel. I look at a lot of the physiological base. In other words, there's different ways that they perceive emotions in the mind, and they don't have the same emotional connection as most quote-unquote regular or normal people do. They really are able to cross some boundaries in life that most people are not. So in terms of, forcing themselves on people sexually, taking things from them, any sort of physical items, anything that can get you into a feeling of powerlessness is where they're going to come from. And it's very sad. I had known this one gentleman whose wife and soon-to-be ex-wife was a psychopath, and when everything was exposed, she took the kids away and had him pay for this house, extremely inefficient economically. And I mean, an intelligent woman could carry a job, etc., but I mean, just did not feed the kids. It was just horrible. And when she did feed them, it was all sorts of just only fast food. The house was a mess. Dishes piled up, 2 feet tall. Laundry everywhere. I mean, just not able to take care of people because it did not serve her. So these people can do some really ghastly things, very gaslighting. You have to keep grounded, you have to keep planted, you have to keep your eye on the horizon for what is right for you, and look at ways of going no contact and getting out of their circle of influence as quickly, as efficiently, and as smoothly as possible. And also, looking at getting some good representation for yourself, because you don't want to try to handle these types of people alone. If you're in, like a married situation where you've got, laws and things to contend with. So research and find people who can be of service to you and settle as much as you can outside of court. And, let go of anything that does not serve you. So if they want, all sorts of stupid physical items that you can do without, don't try to grab on to certain sentimental memories with this type of person, because your better life is going to be up and beyond that. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos help. More on this topic in future videos. Please share and subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. And please make it a beautiful day.